They jumped back, cautious, testing for weakness. Others sniffed the air, pacing. They wanted to get at the woman and child. Dalinar jumped at them, forcing them away, uncertain where he found the strength. One got close and he swung at it, falling into wind stance. It was the most familiar. He struck at the beast, scoring it on its flank, but two others jumped at him from the side. Claws raked his back, and the weight threw him to the stones. He rolled, punching a creature and tossing it back. Another bit his wrist, causing him to drop the poker in a flash of pain. He slammed his fist into the creature's jaw, and it opened reflexively, freeing his hand. The monsters pressed forward. Somehow he got to his feet and stumbled back against the rock wall. The woman threw the lamp at a creature that got too close, spraying oil across the stones and setting it alight. The fire didn't seem to bother the creatures. The move exposed Seelie as Tappa fell off balance in the throw. A monster knocked her down, and others scrambled for the child. But Dalinar leaped for her, wrapping his arms around her, huddling down and turning his back on the monsters. One leaped on his back. Claws sliced his skin. The monsters overwhelmed Tappa.
Why are you showing me this? Why must I live this vision? Curse you!
Claws raked his back. He clutched Seelie, back arching in pain. He cast his eyes upward toward the sky, and there he saw a brilliant blue light falling through the air. It was like a star rock, dropping at an incredible speed. The light hit the ground a short distance away. The creatures froze. Dalinar turned numbly to the side. Then he watched in amazement as the light stood up, limbs unfolding. It wasn't a star at all. It was a man in glowing blue shardplate, bearing a shard blade, trails of stormlight rising from his body. The creatures suddenly threw themselves at the figure, ignoring Dalinar and the other two. The shardbearer raised his blade and struck forward with skill, stepping into the attacks. Dalinar lay stunned. This was unlike any shardbearer he had ever seen. The plate glowed with an even blue light, and glyphs, some familiar, others not, were etched into the metal. They trailed blue vapor. Moving fluidly, the man struck at the beasts. He effortlessly sheared a monster in half, flinging pieces into the night that trailed black smoke. Dalinar pulled himself to Tappa. She was alive, though her side was torn and flayed. Seelie tugged at her.
Need to do something.
Be at peace.
Dalinar turned to see a woman in delicate shardplate kneeling beside him, holding something bright. It was a topaz entwined with a heliodor, both set into a fine metal framework, each stone as big as a man's hand. The woman had light tan eyes that almost seemed to glow in the night, and she wore no helm. Her hair was pulled back into a bun. She raised a hand and touched his forehead. Ice washed across him. Suddenly, his pain was gone. The woman reached out and touched Tappa. The flesh on her arm regrew in an eye blink. The torn muscle remained where it was, but other flesh just grew where the chunks had been torn out. The skin knitted up over it without flaw, and the female shardbearer wiped away the blood and torn flesh with a white cloth. Tappa looked up, awed.
You came, bless the Almighty.
The female shardbearer stood. Her armor glowed with an even amber light. She smiled and turned to the side. A shard blade forming from mist into her hand as she rushed to aid her companion.
A woman shardbearer? I've never seen such a thing.
He stood up, hesitant. He felt strong and healthy, as if he'd just awakened from a good night's sleep. He glanced down at his arm, pulling off his makeshift bandage. He had to wipe free blood and some torn skin, but underneath, the skin was perfectly healed. He shrugged, picked up his poker, and joined the fight.